Just let me know if my screen is visible to each one of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It is.
Okay, so this product is very unique. This is basically an endorsement letter from ICICI Bank, wherein they don't have the bandwidth to train and hire relationship managers because it's a bank, right? So they have basically asked ICICI in the year 2006 that हमारा जो requirement है आप पूरा कर दो and you make sure that you guys are training and hiring. Okay, so the hiring and the training and everything that will happen is from IFBI, okay, which is a company which is registered. The only thing you will get from ICICI at the end is the offer letter. Okay. Now my question back to you is, before I start my PPT, what do you understand about the banking industry? What do you think has happened in the last, I would say, 10, 15 years? Anyone? What changes have happened?
Our banking sector is growing. If we can see in our share market industry, then we can see there is a always technical, even automobile company, but at the same time, as per compared to the foreign countries, our banking sector is still growing. Means number of banks is so huge number.
Okay, very well. So just to put a number to what Astik just said, 8.5% is the growth every year in the banking industry currently. Okay. So anything you say, anything in verbal, corporate world में एक simple चीज़ है, you have to talk in statistics. If you don't put a number to it, you're basically lying. Any industry, if you look at today, as of today, is not growing at the rate of 8.5. Another thing which Astik said is about share market. If you go to USA, at least 85% or 80, anybody with a social security number, okay, you'll hear my dog barking. He does not work in a bank. He's with me at home. So anybody with a social security number in America will have an investment back into the market. Currently, the percentage in India is only 17%. Only 17%, roughly around 17 to 20% people are putting money back into the market, investing back into the market. Okay. And I'm telling you, the potential is for us to reach 80, 85. And you guys are the pioneers who will actually enter the industry at the right time. New banks are coming up. New banks are getting merged. Public sector banks are getting merged because people are fed up of poor services at the bank. I have gone to SBI Bank wherein they will not even make eye contact with you. If I am having an account, which is a privileged account, I would want them to give me some services, which is why private banks are now flourishing and it is absolutely taking care of the health of the country. If ICICI Bank shuts down tomorrow, it will be a huge, it is a major loss for India, basically. Okay. So as Astik rightly mentioned, it could be the awareness. It could be scam 1992. It could be anything. People have understood that you have to put money back into the market. सिर्फ FD, LIC और PPF या NPS इसमें नहीं चलता है. You have mutual funds, you have a lot of other verticals where you can invest money and you can make more returns. Okay, so this is basic idea. Now, what changes, in terms of, I would say, banks ज़्यादा आ गए. Do you agree? Do we have a lot of banks today in India comparatively? Do we have a lot of banks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you go back in, perfect. If you go back in 1960s, 1970s, during the industrialization era, what has happened is your father will hold one account for 40 years in one bank, or your grandfather might be holding maybe one account for 40, 50 years in one bank because they had no options. Okay. Then what happened in roughly 2000, 2005, we had the IT revolution where things did not move digital, but we had industries popping up, we had startups popping up. So the requirement to move digital, the requirement for transactions, which used to happen fast, was there. So the foundation was already laid out. Currently, you guys are in the merger of digital and social media revolution. Because of that, you guys have the best of both worlds. Okay. So if you look at today, ICICI Bank का जो app है, 95% of the job, which I will show you in my screen, such as this. Okay, you can do it from the app. If you lose your debit card, you just have to stop your debit card. You have to block it. You have to fill a new application. They'll charge you 250 rupees. In 7 days, the card will come to your house. Earlier, you had to physically go to the bank, correct? Account closure, people used to run to the bank back in the days, दौड़ना पड़ता था बैंक में, Kalyan ICICI branch or whatever that is, back in the days. Now, account closure, you can do it from your app. But at the same time, the competition is such. If ICICI does not give me good service, I will open a new account in Axis Bank in 5 minutes. Yes or no? If you don't like Vodafone, you can port to Geo just by sending a message. Correct? So the
Yes.
requirement now, perfect. So the requirement now is the job roles such as cashier, teller, data verification, data entry in banks is now going to become sidelined. Okay. So if you look at this sheet, okay, can somebody read this for me?
मैं
Anybody? Yeah, no problem.
Sir, can I?
Yeah, no problem. Anyone can do it.
By 2022, 15 and 20% of Indian workforce in the BFSI sector would be deployed in new jobs that do not exist today. FICCI, SSCOM, and EY Future of Jobs and Report.
Okay, perfect. So what have you understood from that is basically the jobs such as whatever I just mentioned, data entry, data verification, personal teller, cashier. All these jobs will not be existing starting from this year. It has already happened because a lot of things are getting automated, correct? In banks, a lot of things are getting automated, and this entire study and survey was done by NASSCOM, and NASSCOM is a registered vertical which does proper survey. Okay, it's a press release. It is not even a survey. It is actually a press release. It's a statement. Okay, so now I'll show you an image, and I want you to tell me what do you understand from this image right now. You can start reading. I hope it's visible to each one of you. You can start reading and you can tell me what do you basically understand just by looking at this. And this is a real model. It is not an artificial model. It is there. It is established currently.
Blank branch.
Bank branch. Okay. Who said that?
Me, sir, Aditya. I mean, there is a no person in branch, no
Correct.
staff in branch.
So out of all the
Only
colleges
machines
I've
are there.
visited, only 1% till now has said the exact answer, which is bank branch. Okay. So this is not an ATM outlet. This is not a dummy. This is basically an electronic branch, which is 24/7. You don't see anybody over here. Obviously, there is a television show. It cannot be an ATM. नहीं तो कोई भी उठा के लेके जाएगा, correct? This is already established in private banks and public sector banks, and this is one of the what do you call department which each and every bank is getting into, because bank shuts at 6:30. People might want to use it at 9:30 in the night, 10 o'clock in the night for certain things. They've kept it open. The only personnel you will see here, only employee, that too also on third party, it will be a watchman sitting outside. Okay, not an ICICI watchman, but a regular watchman sitting outside. So clear till now? Any confusion? Okay, great. So the job opening we have for you guys is a relationship manager or a value banker. Okay, this is the announcement that you give it to the customer that I am your relationship manager, I am your value banker. That's your job role. Inside the bank, you will be a senior officer. Okay, your job role on the offer letter will be senior officer. Now my question to you is, anybody understands what is a relationship manager doing in a bank, or what does a value banker do in a bank? The key word is relationship and value. Anybody knows it?
Providing services.
Okay, that everybody does. I believe even the branch manager is doing that today. Okay, providing services, absolutely correct. But in detail, you're providing customer services, right? You're also getting into inside sales and you're also doing team managing eventually. Okay. Value banker, you're adding value to the customer. Customer के account में 20 lakh रुपया है. He does not know where to invest that money. You are the expert to tell him that he has to invest the money in such a vertical for such a return. Okay. Now I will explain you the job profile very clearly. If you guys have questions, you can put it in the chat box. This is something which I clear very, very clearly with the college students because a lot of students are confused. A lot of students don't want to get into a certain job role, but I want to make sure that I'm very, very clear with what I'm sharing right now. Okay. So in case you join us, if you go through the entire step-by-step procedure, okay, I'm talking about a typical career path. A typical career path for you will be starting as a value banker. Okay. Now, ICICI does not recruit value banker relationship manager directly. It is only through IFBI and IT. Okay. There are other companies who claim that we do placements, but they will take 100 students and they will take 20 students into the bank. For us, it is not like that. If we select 10 students, all the 10 students will go into the branch. Okay. R is 100% assured job which we provide. Now, at the bottom, if you see, there is a direct sales team, which is FOS, feet on street. These are also graduates. These are also class 12th pass. These are people who you find outside uh, in Bombay, specifically selling credit card and insurance. Okay. Now, if somebody from there has to reach a level of value banker, they will take a minimum of 3 to 4 years. And our students have absolutely said that when they have gone to the branch, that yes, I have a friend of mine who's working in the bank for 3 years. She's not a relationship manager, but I am a relationship manager. Okay. Now, from here, if you do an excellent job for 1 2 years, if you basically work hard, okay, which I will come to what is the job description for, let's say, another 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, max to max, this too is very, very easy to achieve. Okay. So becoming a value banker, you're already becoming from our end. And then for you to become an assistant manager in a branch, okay, the responsibility you can think of, and a branch manager eventually at a branch is very, very easy if you work hard for 5 years. I will give you an example. I'll give you a testimony of a student who has shared it with us recently. This is not for Mumbai region, but this was basically a WhatsApp message. Okay. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes.
So it's like, hi sir, good morning. This is Amrutra from NIT, first batch of Ratnagiri. So this is Ratnagiri, right? Ratnagiri, we have less openings because branches are less, but Mumbai, we have a lot of openings because we have a branch in every station. Or in even in Kalyan, I believe there are 2 branches. Okay. So got posted at Khed Ratnagiri. This year, by next month, I'll be completing 3 years, obviously as a relationship manager. Yesterday, she received the first promotion and now she is an assistant manager at Khed. Okay. Now, if you look at salary in a place like Ratnagiri, Khed, I know it will be on the lower side, which is 30,000, 35,000. Mumbai, it will be above 40,000 easily. Now, don't only look at the salary, it is the other benefits also which you get when you're working in the bank. Okay. So this is a live testimony. We have close to 9,000 students we are placing every year. We have close to 50,000 plus students who are already in the industry because the requirement is such. Okay. Every year ICICI hires 9,000. Last year it was 4,500. This year they have increased because now after the pandemic things have opened up. Okay. So they are anticipating the requirement. So if you look at the screen again, I hope you're clear with your career path. Now, coming back to the most important question, service keep admitting them. Huh? So do you believe that reaching an assistant manager level and senior manager is easy at the bank? If you work and if you give your best time, if you work hard.
If we work hard, then it's easy.
Perfect. Okay. Very, very special people who upskill themselves, who study further, okay, who to get into a management, study program or whatever that is, can become a VP because VP is not handling anything less than 10 to 15 branches or a region. Now, depending on the cluster, you know, we also have from value banker, your next level of promotion could be privilege banking. If a ICICI branch is handling international customers or HNI customers, high net worth customers, or let's say NRI customers, there might be another vertical called privilege banking. Already it is a promotion and it is an increment in your salary. Okay. So this is basically what it is. So there are multiple options, or sorry, multiple examples which I have wherein students have started as value banker and then they have easily gone up to my senior manager level. Another thing which I wanted to tell you is you are working in ICICI Bank for let's say 2 years. You go to an IndusInd Bank which is at number 7 and you give an interview. You will get red carpet service. Number one. If you work as a value banker in ICICI for 2 years, which I don't recommend jumping jobs, but I'm just telling you there are students who have understood all this and they have done this. 2 years if you become a value banker and then you apply for IndusInd Bank, they will directly promote you to the branch manager. I'll tell you why. ICICI operations is so much, उसका 30-40% होता है IndusInd Bank के अंदर. You go to Axis Bank also, you can actually negotiate a better salary. Okay. So if you do this for 10 years, you are an expert. And at the age of 30, when you're sitting next to an HR, you can negotiate and you can tell the HR that I have relevant 10 years of experience in bank. This is my expectations. I am telling you they will give you the salary. But if you start your career with banking for 2 years, then you go to logistics for 1 year or retail for 1 year because somebody told you कि यार ये industry अच्छा है, booming है, या tourism में चले गए. And then after 4-5 years again you want to come back to banking, you're basically destroying your CV. And at the age of 10, age of 30, even negotiating a salary of 50,000 will be very difficult. You know, a CTC of 6 lakhs. Students at this age, jumping from, let's say, a 20-25,000 salary to 40,000 salary, I am telling you it is very easy in Mumbai. But taking it from 40 to 1 lakh is where the difficulty starts. And for that, your record has to be clean. Your CV has to be clean. You have to be trustworthy. This is something I can assure you they will not teach you in college. And this is something wherein people like me have made mistakes and I don't want anybody to make mistakes like that. Okay. Now coming to the job role, you have to do sales. Now my question to you is when I say sales, do you think it is easy or do you think it is difficult to do sales?
It is difficult.
It is difficult. Why do you think it is difficult?
It's difficult to convince someone.
You don't have to convince.
Because we have to convince them and we have to tell them about the thing we are selling, about the product or about anything insurance.
Okay. No, insurance, I told you, insurance is the first level, right?
Yes.
Insurance is for first level, entry level job. You're not getting into an entry level job. Insurance and credit card is for people who are on the street. Okay. Because they are acquiring more new customers. So banking, how it works is if you're in Kalyan, you don't have to go to Dombivli to do anything. The reason being is Dombivli already has a ICICI or branch, okay, or a geographical area. My question back to you is, why do you think the sales is difficult? It is because you have to convince and sell the product. Is that why it is?
Yes.
Okay. What if you get all the tools? What if you are trained properly? Okay. Because see, people are becoming assistant managers. People are becoming sales managers. Oh, sorry, branch managers. So that obviously is a fact that, there are people who are doing a career out of this. My question to you is very simple. If you get all the tools, if you get everything that is given to you, if you're trained very, very well, if you're hand-holded for 3 months when you're in the company, if you are shown the right path, don't you think it is easy for you to basically just align the product to the customer? You're not selling. The problem is there is a very, very dirty, what do you call it? Definition of sales, which is defined because of whatever's happened in social media. I could even go ahead and name a couple of companies. It could be Byju's, it could be White Hat. They are only looking at numbers. They are not, they are just selling a course. Correct? Here we are looking at you getting aligned and trained and then working into the bank. So let's say you have a portfolio of 250 customers. And out of this 250 customers, you have all the details. I'm talking about history, geography of the customer. How long is he with ICICI Bank? And on a monthly basis, you have to make sure that you are attaching yourself to a certain list of customers. And you're telling the customer that, we have this beautiful product in ICICI Bank. Why don't you have a look at it? This is the rate of interest. This is the returns that you will get. I will tell you why. I am a science background student and it is 2022. 2017, one of my college professor, who is a commerce, professor, he came up to me and he spoke to me about investments. So I was under a belief कि real estate is the best thing to invest in Mumbai. उससे अच्छा तो और कुछ नहीं है. But he made me understand about portfolio. He made me understand about index funds. He made me understand about diversifying your portfolio, putting some money in mutual funds, some in equity, some in daily transaction or intraday, some in SIP. I can assure you one thing that I've seen the changes in the last 5 years, and I have multiple verticals right now. अगर एक भी बंद होता है तो मेरे पास 5-6 का backup. So what I am trying to tell you is a lot of customers are not aware. Okay, so if you go with that positivity, when you're trained, sales becomes very easy. I'm telling you. And your major job role is to do inside sales. There are two types of sales. एक होता है inside sales, एक होता है outside sales. Outside sales is also known as proactive. Inside sale is also known as reactive. Reactive ऐसे sales होते हैं तो customers are coming to you. You're reacting to the customer. Okay. So if you're meeting 10, 15 customers in a day, I am telling you, it is very easy to convince because you are with ICICI Bank. It's a sellable product and you're cross-selling and you're upselling. Okay. Customers don't know FD gives you 5.5% return, but they don't know if they put the money in, let's say, PPF, it is 7%. They don't know if they put it in mutual fund, moderate risk, it will be 10%. Okay. They don't know there are investments you can do for your child in education vertical where you will get an easy return of 8 to 9% if you do it for 10 years. Okay. Who knows all this? You will know all this because you're working in the bank. So inside sales is what you have to do. Okay. So anybody ready for inside sales, understanding the product? Yes, we can get into it. Now, one more thing that happens at the branches, हमारे बच्चे ऐसे भी है कि relationship manager में there are 25 areas you can work. It could also be back office. Okay. So a lot of students, they are happy when they get back office. Why? चेहरा नहीं दिखाना है और paper में काम करना है, correct? But what happens is, to become an assistant manager, you have to be in the front. You have to understand what a cashier is doing, what a teller is doing, what a demat account, guy is doing, what even your branch manager is doing. If you're sitting at the back office, you will not see what is happening in the front. So I know I have students who have worked 6 years and they're still a relationship manager. Okay, I will tell you both the areas. I will not tell you only one thing, good thing, and then I will shut it. So it is up to you what you want to do. Okay. Sales is an integral part. Number two will be handling customers. Now, handling customers is very, very easy. We are in India. So if you deal with customers nicely, you don't get argumentative. It is very easy to deal with customers. If you know your product very, very well, आप आसानी से sell कर सकते हो. Okay. So I have asked this question before. Okay, I'll ask Darshana because her video is on, and then I'll ask Abhishek also. Imagine आपके बैंक के branch में there is a mother and a father and a 4 साल का बच्चा. 4 साल नहीं, 6 साल पकड़ लो, ठीक से चल रहा है. So वो लोग बैंक आ जाते हैं, ठीक है. And the husband has an account in the branch. So when you start interacting, आप किससे बात करोगे? और husband के
With
account में
the
20 लाख रुपए
woman,
है.
with the
Yes, sir.
woman.
With the woman, okay. Woman is the wife. Husband has 20 lakhs in his account. He is a ICICI bank account holder. Okay. और 6 साल का एक बच्चा है. अभिषेक, आप किससे बात करोगे पहले?
पहले सर से बात करेंगे सर.
Okay, very well. बच्चे से कोई बात नहीं करेगा?
नहीं करेंगे ना सर, पूछेंगे कि मतलब वो तीनों जन से बात करेंगे कि उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट मीन्स अगर उन्होंने इंश्योरेंस वगैरह भी नहीं निकलवाया रहेगा तो हम
अभी आप
उनसे
काम छोड़
बातों
दो.
बातों में वो.
अभिषेक, काम छोड़ दो अभी. मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, आपको ये कस्टमर को जेब में डालना है. So my question to you is again, the customer already knows ICICI में AC बहुत बढ़िया चलता है. मैं जैसे ही अंदर घुसूंगा 20 सेकंड में कोई ना कोई तो आ ही जाएगा to say hello, good morning. Because it is customer service, it's a private bank, right? But if you want to win the heart of the customer, you have to basically talk to the kid. That's it. I'm telling you, half your job is done. Okay. Does it make sense, or do you think I've just said something? You taking a business out of him or investment out of him, that is later. The first impression that you have to do is by talking to the kid who is 6 years old and comforting the kid so that mom and dad are now sitting without a headache. And now when you're holding the kid, I'm just telling you because I belong to the hospitality industry. Now you're playing with the kid or probably you've bought something for the kid. you can easily have a chat with mom and dad. They will also open up a little bit more. Then you can understand about their plans, where they have to put the money. So customer service is already all about all this. Correct? This is something which you will learn. ये आपको पहले दिन समझ में नहीं आता है. It comes with maturity. But I am telling you, once you learn all this, everything becomes very easy. Okay. So sales and managing customers, we have absolutely seen two wonderful examples. Lastly, you have to manage teams because we are not looking for short-term people to join the bank. We are looking for people who will join the bank and work there for long term, who will grow. So even as a relationship manager, somebody coming new to the bank, you might have one or two people under you. When you become a privileged banker, you might have 3-4 people under you. Obviously, assistant manager will have 8-9 people. Okay. So till now, everybody is kind of understood what we are looking at. Okay, in terms of the job role, very clear, right? Okay, now we'll look at the eligibility criteria. Clear. Any confusion, please put it in the chat box. Perfect. Now my question to you is, how many of you think MBA or doing post-graduation is important after graduation?
Sir, due to this lockdown, we don't have a degree in our hand, so we have to do MBA or any other degree.
Okay, Darshana, my question is, why do you have to do MBA?
To get a good job and to get more knowledge.
Knowledge, I will 100% agree. Good job. ये आपको किसने बताया कि आपको good job मिलेगा?
सर MBA की business से तो मिलना ही चाहिए.
किसके education के हिसाब से, right? नहीं, I want to clarify. Okay, I'm not trying to basically make fun of anything because I want to ensure that you are aligned with the corporate world right now. आपका अभी transition हो रहा है college to corporate. Teaching methodology से आप training और job methodology में आ रहे हो. I'll give you a tiny example. So we went to CKT college in Panvel. 2 students have come there. They were working with Vishal Hyundai. Okay, it's a showroom, Hyundai showroom, Vishal Hyundai. CKT college के बाजू में. They were brothers and sisters. The sister was making 11,000 rupees flat. Brother was making 8,000 rupees flat. No PF, no ESIC, no benefits. 11,000 रुपए account में आ जाता था. They both were MPAs. Okay. The only problem, they started working at the age of 23. They did not have enough work experience. And the person who was the supervisor, I think he was 22, 1 year below. He was making 15,000 and he was only a graduate. Okay. So I would want to bring to your attention one more time. I'm not saying that education is bad, but corporate does not believe in education in your seat. Okay. You cannot crack an interview until and unless you have given 4-5 interviews. I have taken 16 interviews. I've done 16 interviews initially to get selected in my 17th interview. Because it is not easy. Every company has a different set of rules and regulations. Bottom line is, जितने जल्दी आप work experience ले सकते हो, इतना आपके लिए अच्छा है. The best part with ICICI Bank is once you start working with them, there are internal opportunities where they will help you to finish your further studies. Okay. Nothing happens if you do correspondence or you do full-time, doesn't matter because corporate does not see all that. What is happening in the market right now is, like I said, Accenture, they're looking for graduates. Okay. But they want 6 months hands-on Tally experience. Tally experience is not a certificate. It is not a degree certificate. It is a vocational certificate. So you have to upskill yourself like that is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. Now we will get on to this eligibility criteria. I think I will take another 10 more minutes and I'll be a little quick. I will get on to the eligibility criteria because the bank has a requirement. Then I will talk about what is your investment, what is the return of investment, because the training comes at a cost. And finally, I will tell you what is the salary. Okay. Only the interested students will go aage, and I will tell you the step-by-step procedure of the journey with us. I hope my screen is visible to all of you now.
Yes.
Okay. So ICICI Bank has a requirement of all the students scoring 50% and above in 10th, 12th and graduation. So for example, in 10th, you have scored 49.99, you're not eligible to go ahead. So 10th and 12th has to be 50 and above. First year of your graduation has to be 50. Second year of your graduation has to be 50. And third year, if you're in your last semester, you have to make sure that you give us an undertaking stating that you will score 50. Okay. Anything less than this, you're not allowed to enter. Okay. You will be rejected right before you go for the interview. In this 5 years, only 1 year gap is allowed. So if you have 2 years gap or 1 year, 1 month gap, you will not be able to continue. Okay. To apply. At the time of joining, I believe you should not cross September 1996 is the birth date, the limit. Anything more than that, you cannot join. So people who are about 25, we will check during the application form if you guys are eligible according to the age. Okay. Anyone from the family working in ICICI Bank right now. When I say family, I'm talking about father, mother, brother, sister are not eligible to join. Okay. People who have worked with ICICI before are again not eligible to join. People who are done the MBA, again, they are not eligible to join. Okay. And specifically people who are planning to get into all this. ICWA, CA, not eligible. Okay. So this is basically what we are looking at. This will again, we will get to know, you don't have to worry about it too much. We have an application form. If you fall in this eligibility criteria, fill up the application form and we will get to know later. Okay. Now, what is your take home from here is if you go to a public sector bank, and I believe people are aware public sector bank में भी आपको exam लिखना पड़ता है, training करना पड़ता है. जैसे Canara Bank है, SBI Bank है. If you want to become a PO or a banker, do you think there is an investment कि job ऐसे ही free में मिल जाता है? You can put it in the chat
No,
box.
sir. देना पड़ता है.
Okay. So I would say from last I understood, the cost is roughly around 2.5 to 3 lakhs. The training will not happen in Mumbai. It mostly happens in Bangalore. It happens in Jaipur. It happens on the outskirts. अगर आप बाहर निकल जाते हो, you have to pay for accommodation also. Okay. So what happens is eventually the expense increases, right? And for the IBPS exam. Okay. Service is Mr. Niranjan on the call. I just saw him. Can you just see in the? You can actually
Yes,
ask him.
Niranjan is on.
Sir, would you like to address the students for 5 minutes?
I think Suraj, you have completed everything. So, is there any specific question if they need to understand?
Okay, so I'll continue.
Probably I can take it up later.
Okay, so we have Mr. Niranjan Molte also on call. He is somebody who is handling the region of Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Goa as a whole. Sorry, and MP also together. So he's looking after these 4 states. I look after Mumbai. So he's basically somebody who has been in the industry for 7 years, specifically being very close to ICICI. So I'm glad he's joined us in case any questions that comes out of the book, he can absolutely address. So I'm talking about you investing when you want to get into a public sector bank. Okay? There is a certain amount of investment before you get into it. Now, this is a private sector bank. Now, my question back to you is, let's say we are training you. Do you think there should be an investment so that you guys are serious about the whole thing? Because you will be taught about softwares, and softwares are not easy to learn. So my question is, do you believe there should be an investment when you get into a private bank?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. So somebody who wants to do Tally has to pay, let's say 14,000 or 8,000. Advanced Excel comes at a cost. Okay. Now, 2 very important things that you will learn, okay, in this program with us before you get into the job. And once I'm done with that, I'll tell you what the step-by-step procedure is. You will learn about Finacle software. Okay. Finacle software is something which is designed by Infosys. You can have a look around Google later. Now, this software comes at a cost of 5 lakh US dollars. And it is only licensed to private banks or big banks, basically, who wants to use the software. Why do you think there is a software required? Because again, it's a universe, right? I told you 5,288 branches. All the branches have to be aligned properly, and it is money. You have to deal with compliance. You have to deal with regulatory bodies like RBI and SEBI. So making sure that everything is done properly on a encrypted software is very, very important. Each one of you who gets selected will be trained under the software. And I'm talking about hands-on experience, okay? With mock and live examples. You will not just be certified, you will be trained so that you will get an individual login and you are ready to work in the bank from day one. Number two, you will also be certified under NISM. Now, NISM certification is something which is given by SEBI. This is a legal certificate so that you can now talk to the customers and tell them to invest their money in a certain vertical. Because if I come to, let's say, Sarvesh or Abhishek for that matter, and I tell Abhishek, okay, आपके पास 5 लाख रुपए आप इस vertical में डालो. I cannot do that because I am not certified. Okay, it's as simple as that. You can be a doctor, you can be a doctor with MBBS, but you cannot be a RMP, which is a registered medical practitioner, until and unless you have practice. Okay, so these are certain certificates which come. So these two things are very important, and for that there is a cost to it. Okay, now the journey that we will continue. Firstly, whoever is eligible today will start with an application form. Okay, just share my screen again with you. Step number one today that will happen is an application form. Okay, I hope this is visible to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. So I'm going to show this. I will talk about the cost involved and then I'll show you the salary structure. And after that, we will start taking your questions. Step number one is wherein we will take your application today. It is a unique application ID which we generate. We will check your eligibility during that time and we will have your basic details so that we can move further. Okay. Once the application is done, you will go through a screening process, which is 4 rounds. Okay. Now, in the first round, you have to do essay. Essay writing is basically a topic on the spot. It will be proctored. It will be from the camera. You will be writing it at the benefit of your home. You don't have to physically visit anywhere. So it will be a topic on the spot. You have to speak. You have to write 150 to 200 words. And you have to basically make sure that you align your English sentences properly. We are looking at basic communication and we are seeing how much we can train you. Okay. Because you might have to write emails, you might have to sign off documentations at the bank. We are looking at your English comprehension, your written comprehension. Number two is a profiler test. It is also known as psychometric test, where we actually understand your cognitive skills. You will get situational based questions with MC, and there are multiple options. You have to select the right option. Okay. It could be anything, a situation at the bank. How will you react? Basically. So you have to select the right option from there. Okay. Out of my experience, I can tell you essay writing and profiler test is very easy for students who are, recently passing out from college or graduates to clear. It is not a difficult round. It is only for us to understand how much time we have to spend on. Number three is an interview, which normally happens on Zoom. Okay. It is again face to face on camera, but the platform we use is Zoom. Here we have panelists from ICICI Bank. Okay. Who are mystery panelists. I mean, even we don't have any authority to get into it. They will be taking your interview, and we have something like this happening on a daily basis. Okay. So if you see this, this is a pan India interview which we have, which happens on a daily basis, and we have selection and rejection happening right here. Okay. So during this interview is when people who don't speak, people who speak in Hindi, people who speak in Marathi, they reject. Okay. It's very important to understand that the interview will be taken in English. But let's say after you join the branch, a customer comes and talks to you in Marathi, you can very well talk to him in Marathi, it does not matter. So basic speech in English is very, very important, and making sure that you clear the interview is very important. Questions that will be asked to you is very basic. We will also give you a list of questions, mock questions that will be asked at the interview. Okay. It could be talk about yourself. Why do you want to join the banking industry? What do you want to do in the next 5 years? Okay. So students who actually enter the interview and they say, my interest is in police. I want to become a sub inspector. I want to get into logistics. I want to get into retail. People who don't show interest in the banking sector will be rejected. That is what they're looking at. So they just need people to be excited. They just need people to be presentable on the camera and people to understand. They are looking at your journey for the next 5 years in the banking industry. This is where I believe, let's say 100 students are applying, in terms of interview, at least there is a ratio of, rejection which happens out of 35-40%. Okay. I think I just lost my network, right? Service?
Yes.
Okay, I think it was roughly around 10-15. Okay, perfect. So like I said, interview is a very important round for you. Right after the interview, you have to also give an aptitude test, which is I said, again, 1, 2, and 3 is very easy for you to clear because this is something most of the students are okay with. It's mathematical aptitude question. It could be, again, generic general knowledge questions, English questions, very easy to clear. Interview is something that you have to focus on. Okay. What happens is right after the interview, now you can basically go and announce and you can tell everybody that you're selected. Okay. You have an assured job at hand. But now, before you move into the bank, there is a training that you have to undergo for 45 days with NIT IFBI. Now, this training is very important because it is a requirement by the bank and they want people who are skilled to enter the bank. Now, the training comes at a cost to you, and that thing happens right here. Okay. You will get a result, you'll get an IFBI letter. This is where you have to pay the fees. Now understand the step-by-step process until and unless you get selected in the interview, 100%. Okay, you are not paying anything out of your pocket. So all this is basically your screening. The registration and fees is what you have to pay before you start your training. Right after your training, you will undergo an internship and placement. Okay. Now I will talk about the training cost and investment. We have two methodologies which I'd like to share with you. Okay. I hope my screen is still visible to each one of you.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay, great. So there are two ways you can pay. Okay. There is something called a self-pay where you're paying from all by yourself. Okay. Now, what are you paying for? You're paying for training and eventually placement with ICICI Bank. Only after you clear the interview, you can start with as low as a booking amount of 5,000 rupees. Okay. But if you take a loan or self-pay before you get into the training batch, you have to make sure that you're paying 18,800 rupees. Okay. In self-pay before you enter the batch. And your training for 45 days can be done. You can pay an installment of 3 months before you get the offer letter. You have to pay altogether this much. Your total investment is 80,000 plus GST, which is 94,400 if you're paying all by yourself, if you're financing yourself. Okay. Now, for a lot of students who cannot finance themselves, we have an option called, a tie-up with Niit Finance, which is a long relationship of more than 10 years. So we start with 11,800 to enter, book a seat and book a registration. You undergo a loan with the finance company. You have a moratorium period of 6 months where you're paying as low as 2,500 monthly. Okay. Right after that, another 1 year, you're paying roughly around 6,500. This is subject to change depending on the rate of interest at that time. It does not go to 7,500, 7,000. It could be a difference of 100 rupees or 150 rupees. Okay. Now, let's say you pay 30,000 over here. Obviously, your loan amount will decrease. So these are the two options we have where students select what is the right amount for them to pay before they enter. Okay. So till now we are clear. Okay. Only after you get selected in the interview, only after the IFBI letter is given to you, you are undergoing registration and fees. Okay. Now we will talk about salary, the package. So please keep in mind that during your training, you will not be paid anything. Let's say your training is for 45 days. You start 10th of April and you let's roughly finish around 25th of May or 20th of May. You are not paid anything during training. For graduate students, the training will be 9:30 to 3:30. It is 6 hours and Sunday is your day off. And for people who are undergraduate still waiting for their results, and still waiting for the exam, the training timing will be 2 hours daily. Okay. Now we will align the training according to what the college's requirement is. Okay. Please understand, we are directly not speaking with you. We are coming to you via the college. We're coming to you after we spoke to Devanjali ma'am and sorry, and Sujit sir. So we are coming to you from there. So we have already made them understand what the entire process is. So any confusion you have, you can always talk to your college also. They can reach out to us. So this is your basic journey. Okay. Now let me talk about salary. I will show you an offer letter of one of the candidates. Okay, it is confidential, so I'll just show you things which I can share with you. So this is one of the candidate who got placed at Navi Mumbai MAPE branch. Okay. So right after your 45 days of training, you will be in a position called senior officer trainee. You will undergo an internship of 3 months. Okay. During this internship monthly, you will be paid 8,302 rupees. Okay. This is an offer letter which is shared from MAPE. It can differ depending on where you get placed. Let's say you're on the outskirts, the salary might be a little less, but mostly in Mumbai, the salary is more or less the same. Okay. So monthly you will be paid 8,300 for 3 months. Right after that, you will move on to a full-time salary of a CTC of 2.72. The CTC can go up to 2.76 in Mumbai region. Okay. Now this is something you're getting because you're working as an on-roll employee with ICICI Bank. It is not a third-party job. Your offer letter is by ICICI Bank. Okay. Only the training and the hiring processes is done by NIT, IFBI, like I told you in the beginning. Okay. Now, students who are interested, who want to go ahead, will start with an application form today. Okay. Then we will see the eligibility and then we will move on to the first 3 rounds, which is essay writing, profiler, and interview. Right after the interview, we will individually coach you, individually counsel you about the entire process. We will also try and take all your questions in case you have before you enter the batch. Okay. What kind of jobs are there? Okay. I'll give you a tiny example. We had a candidate who went to a bank and he said, I've been asked to go to the field to do sales. Okay. So we spoke to the bank and we told him that, his job role is of a relationship manager. So he was reinstated back into the branch and he started doing inside sales. But let me tell you, your job is not guaranteed in the AC environment. Okay. There are certain branches where, if required, you might have to go out, you might have to go meet a corporate company for their salary account. Okay. So do not expect that 30 days you will be sitting in the branch because it's eventually the health of the branch which you have to look after. It is eventually the branch's health which will absolutely decide your growth also in the banking industry. When you grow up the ladder and you become a branch manager, half the time you will not see the branch manager in the bank because he is traveling out to move client, meet clients. So this is more or less what I had to share with you today. And any confusion, anything you want to clarify, I would now open the forum for 5-10 minutes. We have Mr. Mohite also to take all your questions. Now I want you to speak to us, speak to me also. Put it in the chat box. You can unmute yourself and you can ask all your questions. Okay. We will take it one by one. You can ask your questions in Hindi, English, Marathi. It does not matter. We will clear it accordingly. I think we'll speak with the guys who spoke. And Astik, do you have any concerns or questions you would like to share?
No, sir.
Nothing at all. Is everything clear?
Yes.
Okay. What about Darshana, who had a video on? What about Abhishek? Anything you want to ask? कुछ पूछना है आपको? Nothing at all. Okay, no questions. So my only request to each one of you is, since you don't have any questions, I believe most of the things have been answered. I would request you to also go online and do a research about what it is, how you can get into the banking industry, and how you can make a career out of it. I would also request Mr. Mohite, if he's there on call, to speak with you for 5 minutes. Then we can move on to the application process.
Well, Suraj, I think all points cleared, and I guess everybody understood because it was well drafted, session. I'm sure students have understood. I would only like to add one last point is basically that yes, ICICI is very keen on taking fresh grads because that's how we build the students' career in the ICICI Bank, and I'm sure there is an humongous opportunity, internal organization for grow vertical, horizontal. All options are open. The only questions what students ask that why the training. I think the answer Suraj has said very rightly that you need to skill yourselves to get into a good position, and that's something which ICICI and NIT is engaged with from 2006. So it's not a very young relationship; it's a very old relationship with ICICI, with NIT from 2006, and probably the testimonials to describe it is more than 50,000 plus. I believe every corner of ICICI Bank, where you stay, where you live, you visit, understand this equation, what we are trying to say, because it is very important to take decision and at the right time. So I think you all are going to get graduates and probably you're looking for an opportunity in the industry. Now, opportunity is in your hand. How you going to take it? It's your call. We only the medium to create an awareness about this opportunity, but taking this opportunity and taking decisions for this opportunity, it's all your decisions and your parents' decisions. So I would say all the best to all of you, and probably we might get a good selection during the selection process, and we will definitely like to see you onboarding ICICI Bank. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I think students who are still on call and interested, I would request, I think ma'am is also here. I would request you to start filling up the application form. Ma'am, are you there on the call with us? Okay, I think she got logged out. Okay. Sarvesh, so what we will do is we'll share the application form, okay? And ma'am is going to share a list of the students, of the college graduate alumni students. So we can connect with them separately and counsel them separately about what we have at offer.
Okay.
So I'm sharing a link with everybody, okay? And I will also share my screen with you. So you can click on this link to fill up the application form, okay? So Biko, screen is visible to everybody right now?
Yes, it is Suraj.
Okay. Anybody who is filling the application form, can you just put it in the chat box? If not, we can connect with you separately later. Anybody who is doing it right now, can you please tell me? It will only take 5 minutes. I think Astik, Aditya, Kailash, Kajal, are you guys filling up the application form right now?